Okay, let's just dive right in because we are going to investigate one of the absolutely strangest, most unbelievable stories in the entire Bible. It's a passage from the book of Acts that, honestly, it sounds more like a fairy tale than history. It's the kind of story that even makes pastors kind of chuckle. And that quote right there, that's from Mark, the pastor at Rethink Church. And you know what? It perfectly captures how we all react to this story. You've got sick people being brought out into the streets just hoping that the shadow of the Apostle Peter might fall on them and heal them. I mean, come on, that sounds completely nuts, right? It really does sound like magic, a myth. But what if we've been reading it all wrong? What if there's a much deeper meaning hiding right there in plain sight? So let's treat this like a cold case. We're going to put on our detective hats, dust for fingerprints, and look for the hidden clues that unlock this whole mystery. To solve this thing, we have to get inside the minds of the original audience. We have to understand what these words meant to them, not just to us. And our very first clue is a word we think we know, but we probably don't. Apostle. So get this. This wasn't a religious title at first. Not at all. It was a political one. An apostle was literally an agent of the Roman Empire, someone sent to a new place to spread Roman culture and Roman values. The author of this story, Luke, he's intentionally hijacking this really well-known cultural term to make a radical point. It's kind of like what you see on some t-shirts today. I mean, this is a perfect modern example, right? You see these familiar logos, but they've been totally repurposed to mean something completely new. Well, the biblical authors were masters at this exact same technique. They used the common language and symbols of their world to talk about a revolutionary new idea. Okay, here's our second clue, and this one is huge. The text doesn't actually say miracles, it says signs and wonders. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but it is a crucial distinction. When we hear miracle, we think of some big, flashy, supernatural event. But signs and wonders meant something different back then. It meant the actions that set the apostles apart, the way they lived by a different set of rules, the ethics of a totally new kingdom. So just keep that idea in your back pocket. Now, these clues are super important, but the biggest piece of evidence, I'm talking the smoking gun here, it comes from a totally different book, written hundreds of years earlier, the book of Isaiah. And you got to believe that the original readers would have known this prophecy by heart. And this slide, this right here, shows us the exact phrase that cracks the entire case wide open, the shadow of a great rock. For the original audience, this wasn't just pretty poetry. Oh no, this was a specific promise of a future king who would bring justice and rulers who would provide safety and refreshment to a world that was suffering. So, how does this all connect? We're about to link that ancient prophecy from Isaiah directly to this very strange story in the book of Acts. And all it takes is asking one simple question about the main character of our story. It's a name we all know, right? Peter. But it's so easy to forget that it wasn't just his name. It was actually a nickname that Jesus gave him, and it had a very, very specific meaning that every single person listening to this story would have immediately understood. Peter means rock. Not just a pebble, a great rock, a boulder. Just take a second and let that sink in. All of a sudden, the pieces of the puzzle just start snapping into place, don't they? This story isn't about some magical shadow after all. It's a powerful, symbolic statement. Do you see it? Peter, the great rock, is casting a shadow of healing and refuge. The author, Luke, is practically screaming at his readers, hey, you guys remember that prophecy from Isaiah? The one about a coming kingdom of justice and safety? Well, it's happening, right here, right now, through the actions of the church. But here's the twist, and this is the part that brings this ancient story crashing right into our lives today. The prophecy wasn't just for Peter. See, Isaiah didn't say one ruler would do this. He said rulers will bring justice, and that each one will be a shelter. And this is where the story stops being about them, way back then, and starts being about us, right now. This slide basically lays out the mission from Isaiah's prophecy. It's a call to actively transform the problems of the world, all the injustice, the exposure, the thirst, into the solutions of the kingdom, justice, shelter, and refreshment. It's about bringing a little piece of heaven down to earth. The prophecy specifically calls for this kind of justice called mishpat, and this is so important for us to get. This isn't about punishment. It's an active, restorative kind of justice where the people with strength and resources are responsible for seeking out, protecting, and restoring the dignity of the most vulnerable people in society. So,
If the prophecy wasn't just for Peter, but for each one, what does that actually mean for us right now in our lives? How does a person become a shadow of a great rock in a thirsty world? Well, Isaiah gives us a surprisingly practical checklist. You see, the real signs and wonders aren't magical shadows at all. They're these simple ethical actions. It's about practicing justice in our own lives, providing safety from life's storms for others, and offering refreshment to people who are just worn out. It's about living differently in a way that brings real healing and hope to the people around you. This is the evidence we are all invited to create.
So here's the bottom line. Our actions, they become the proof. The goal isn't to win arguments or convince people with clever words. It's to live in such a way that our lives become the evidence. We don't just talk about a better world, we actually become the shelter, the refuge, the living, breathing signs and wonders that point to it. So, the investigation is over. The mystery of the healing shadow isn't about magic. It's a mandate. It's a call for each one of us to be a source of justice, refuge, and refreshment. The responsibility now rests with each and every one of us. So the only question left, the one Mark from Rethink Church leaves us with, is what is your next right step to becoming that shadow of a great rock for someone in your world?